Gaming was the reason I learned to use computers.
Games allow me to feel emotions more.
Casual gamers care about leaderboards, they care about beating each other.
If you have something you want to build, think if you can build it without coding first. And then if you still need to learn coding, then you figure out what language you should learn.
Building an MMORPG with like a 5-member team is not the easiest thing in the world.
5-member team with one code.
Yeah, one code. Hey guys, welcome to the Boredroom by Fijit. This is a show where we will talk to you about our experience building a startup. We'll talk about our screw-ups, we'll talk about our successes, we'll talk to other founders, operators, people who we want to learn from, and you'll see us grow. Hopefully you'll see us make mistakes, you'll see us build cool shit. And let's see where it goes. Don't want to make this too formal, but everything's recording? Yes. Okay. Cool. Okay, let's start by doing quick intros. So I'm Noah, co-founder, and I manage business and product at Fijit. So I write the PRDs, I do legal, funding, HR, all of that. Laxman?
So hi, I'm Laxman. I lead all things tech, right? Which includes the Fijit app, the servers for Fijit, the hosting, the web, back in the day, even the crypto. And I just graduated this week.
Same.
From IITB. And even though we graduated on the same day.
Yeah.
And
Kartik?
Yeah, Kartik here. I handle all things gaming at Fijit. And yeah, I do all the game. I used to do all the game development. Now I'm in charge of the game ideas and stuff as well.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Cool. And for anyone who's watching this doesn't know what Fijit is Netflix for hypercasual games. We are trying to build this arcade of simple, fun games that you can just pick up and play whenever. If you're like sitting in a cab on the pod, just need a break in between meetings or classes or whatever, you take out your phone and you fidget. And what we do is we build games that are trend based. That's what we are starting off with. Every time there's a new trend, we build a game about it. For example, the first game we ever built was called Flappy Musk. It's Elon Musk's face on the Twitter logo jumping through stock market candlesticks picking up joints. And we launched this in August last year. And it kind of blew up. It went kind of viral on Twitter. It got 100,000 plays with zero marketing spend. Then when Andrew Tate got cancelled, we launched a game about that. And so on. We keep launching games every time there's a trend about it. There's a trend in the news or whatever. Let's start by talking about our experience with gaming. We can tell the Fijit story, but before that, let's talk about our relationship with games. Laxman, how did you get into gaming? As a kid, whatever?
For me, gaming was the reason I learned to use computers, right? I learned to use the web.
Which is the first game you ever played?
The first game I ever played. Wow, I think that was GTA Vice City. Right? A cousin of mine brought a CD and I was like, this is crazy game. Until this point, I had played like games on not the first game, but the first time I felt like I was playing a game. Right? Before that, I had played games on Miniclip, which is like clicking two buttons here and there, and friend brings the CD, plugs it in, and we're like in the fucking real world. In this game, you can go enter any car, go drive it around, shoot people in this. It was crazy. It was so fucking crazy. It blew my mind. That's when I fell in love with like actual games, right? Started playing a lot more games then, started exploring games on the web. That was how it started. Then I think like somewhere when I was in 7th or 8th grade, my parents actually begged them for like a PlayStation portable. And back then it was like the thing, everyone had one.
PSP was.
PSP
Kartik and I were just discussing it the other day. The PSP was the first like portable controller that actually felt like a real console game. You know?
Not the Nintendo?
The Game Boy was iconic. Okay. And I still think it's a more goated device.
I think she showed the audience as well. Noah has a Game Boy over here.
15 years old, almost 20 years old. And I think this is a more goated device. But this doesn't feel like this controller, this shape is close to perfect. Like it just, after you play enough, it starts feeling like an extension of your body. And I don't think the Game Boy did that. But I think the PSP was the first device that actually gave that experience. What do you think?
Yeah, even I got my PSP because my cousins had it, right? And then we used to play on LAN.
So, somewhere around the time when I discovered GTA Vice City, I think it was 2008, 2009. So, when I discovered this website called clubpenguin.com, and it was like a lot of people used to talk about it. And I was like, let's give this a try. Go enter my email. Emails are like a thing. Enter my email and create my penguin. And I'm in this world with like other people, and people are saying messages and stuff, and you can go around, explore places. It's so fucking interesting. And you could like collect things, you could buy clothing, and then you could play mini games inside this one big game with your friends. And I told my friends, and all of my friends started playing. It became like the place where after school everyone used to be on this. We used to like the school after school,
Yeah.
That's what started it. That stuck with me for 5 years. I think 5 years of my life. This was my personality. Like come home from school, rush up to my room, start the computer, log in. No time wasted.
Yeah.
What about you, Kartik?
Yeah, man. As you said, games allowed us, at least me, to make a lot of new friends, right?
Yeah.
When Facebook gaming became a big thing, right? That's when I made an account with a fake age and stuff. And everyone in our class used to go home and grind on Farmville and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Everyone used to send each other gifts. It was a very social thing for me.
What was the first video game you played?
The first video game I played was mostly Road Rash.
Okay.
Or maybe Virtual Cop 2. Yeah, it was on my mama's laptop. It was a very old IBM laptop, built like a tank, could not be moved anywhere. But it was a laptop, and we used to play Road Rash on there. And then couple years down the line, I finally got a PlayStation 2 for Christmas. And even then, I played a lot of NFS on that. It was so fun. We used to sit on the couch, grab two controllers, and keep playing. And then slowly after that, I got the PSP, played a lot with my cousins. And there was this one game, Incredibles, the movie. They had a game called Incredibles 2, where it starts out with the ending of the movie, and then you control two characters at the same time. With the same keyboard. So me and my cousin used to have this one keyboard.
Half of it.
Yeah. So I used to do with the WASD, the
shit.
movement and stuff. We used to use the arrow keys, and it had split screen, but it had a full story campaign. I feel games allow me to feel emotions more, like relate with characters that I would never be able to relate to otherwise.
Right.
Since I'm controlling some character, I'm myself going through the whole story with him. Or वैसे.
Yeah. Damn. For me, my first ever experience gaming. So I didn't think we had a computer at home for a long time or ever. And my dad had one at the shop. And it was a big fat computer which he used to use for tally. And I used to play some Bob the Builder game over there. That was my first ever experience. And then after that, I got the Game Boy. Some of my friends at school got it and I got it. And Pokemon Ruby, I finished that game I don't know how many times. Until this thing stopped saving, I just kept playing that game. So this is from the old days where games were in cartridges.
Man.
Each of these cost 200, 300 bucks. But yeah, it was epic. That's some OG retro tech.
Yes.
But this is a goated device. It was such a huge part of, like, I used to get it for like a half an hour, 1 hour on weekends, but look forward to it so much. The sounds were so good. The build of the thing is so good. It just, in a pixelated world, for whatever reason, it felt real. Right?
Yeah.
And that's something Kartik and I, like, you have taught me that it doesn't need to look real, it just needs to feel real for it to be good enough for a player to have a good time. And after the Game Boy, I never had a PlayStation or any other of these bigger consoles. I got into gaming. I had an iPod Touch, and with the iPod Touch, that's when I got into casual gaming. Subway Surfers, Candy Crush. That was in 2012. And I didn't have a smartphone till 2018, but even then I gravitated more towards the casual games. And I, especially if I'm not in a good mood, or if I just need to, I don't know, unwind, I find that like super helpful. Like before Fijit, before any of this, casual gaming is where
it's an escape.
Yeah, it's an escape. It's just like this mindless fun activity. And it helps me calm myself. Yeah, it helps me.
It's not a commitment also. You don't feel like, okay, I'm waiting for the next time I get a break.
Right.
It's like you can go back to your life.
Yeah.
Right.
And the moment you feel tired, it's like, okay, I think I'll just play.
Because like story games are great and I love story games, but when you're playing that, you need to commit
the
to
curiosity
this thing,
of
right?
what's next.
Like I need to be in the stage where I want to explore this new
Explore
world,
this.
do this next mission.
Yes.
If I'm just having a shit day and I want to feel slightly better, I can't go into this world and operate there. It's just, you know, you have to be in the headspace for it. It's like going and doing a physical thing, like doing an
totally.
activity.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was this one time we were on a school trip and I'd just gotten a smartphone. So I was the only one with a smartphone. And I had Doodle Jump on there. So it was a train trip all the way from Mumbai to Udaipur.
Wait, what's Doodle Jump?
Doodle Jump is the endless game where you keep jumping up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and it had gyro controls. That was the first time I played game with gyro controls where you're controlling the character by moving your phone around, right?
Yeah.
So, and we were going by train, none of us could sleep. So effectively, we all just sat around and grinded the game all night. Just passing it around and keep beating each other's high score all night because we could not sleep. That's a memory that I think will stay with me.
Same experience as Subway Surfers, you know, like who can be better at it.
Yeah, for whatever reason, casual gaming is better as a social experience.
Yeah.
Casual gamers care about leaderboards, they care about beating each other. Maybe because of the simplicity of the task, like it's the barrier to entry to starting to play this thing is not that great. So anybody feels like they can do it and anybody can compete for it, right? You don't have to like learn the game how you have to learn a Dota or a this
Whereas they also have a good high skill ceiling also where you can keep getting better at it. It's easy to pick up but difficult to master.
Yeah, that's the key to building a good game, right? Okay, let's tell the Fijit story. How did we get here? Cool. I can start and then we can this thing. Let's all set ourselves up as characters. Like how did we get to wherever we were, and then we'll tell the series of events that led us here.
Yeah.
So for me, Laxman and I actually studied together. We're both from Goa. We did our 11th and 12th together at Aryans. Then around then I also started doing stand-up comedy. I had a couple of videos on YouTube. I went to BITS Goa, started podcasting. I had a show called Don't Follow the Leader. Interviewed founders, VCs, etc. Eventually, I got into this firm called First Check. It's an early stage VC firm. I worked there for some time, did MIS reporting, investment thesis writing, made a lot of content for them. Also started getting really deep into Web3 and gaming. And eventually I left First Check and I joined Pillow Fund, which was a DeFi startup. Great guys. And that's where I sort of got experience building products. How do you listen to a user and figure out what they want? And around that time, Laxman and I also started experimenting with this thing called Meta. We can get to that first.
For me, my journey has been quite different. So me and as you mentioned, we studied together at the end of 11th standard. I was like full prepared for JE and all of that. And Noah comes to me at the end, like the summer break. He's like, dude, listen to this. Just listen to this before you say anything. Okay. He's like, my uncle has a food cart. He has a cart. He's a chef. He can cook. How about we graffiti on it and put on the highway and sell food? I'm like, bro, let's fucking go. And that's what we fucking did at the end of 11th standard. Everyone's fucking shitting their asses off. We are selling food on the highway, getting chased by gundas. We had to like take that cart and run because we didn't have permission from them for placing a cart.
We had permission. We had official permission.
We had official permission.
We didn't have street permission.
We didn't have unofficial permission. Yeah. But that was how I made that was how I think we made our first $1,000. Right. Fast forward a year, I start coding. I discover coding and get fully involved in it to the point when I think it happens to me sometimes when I just lock myself in a room. And this was like during my second semester at IITB, and I locked myself in my room and I'm like, dude, I'm not going to get out until I don't become the best fucking coder.
Laxman is the kind of guy where when he puts his mind to something, he just does it. He commits fully to a maniacal level.
But to a very small subset of things.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, he locked himself up in his room for like a year and a half and just coded. Like slept in his chair, woke up in his chair, ate there and just coded all day. So much so that by the time he decided to come out, he had lost perception of depth. Like he had just been in those four walls for like 400 plus days. But he was also basically the best coder in his college.
And so I had all the experience with that. And so also at the same time, I worked at a startup called Pay1, right? It's like Paytm but for buyer to buyer and B2B, right? And they were a very young startup, and I worked with them, and I built for them like the bot to break captchas, right? Um, and I worked kind of closely with the founders as well, and that gave me an idea of the whole startup ecosystem, like how fun it feels to build things that you want, essentially, that actually go to production, that actually help change things out there in the world, like build fast, as they say. And right, so somewhere in January, me and Noah were just going for a walk on a beach in Goa. And
Wait, we'll let Kartik say
oh
that
yeah,
first,
yeah, Kartik.
So after 10th, I just got into PACE and started prepping for JE like most people out there. But yeah, I always used to sit on the last bench, play games, enjoy a lot. And then slowly after 12th, I wanted to get into game development full time, but then I couldn't convince myself as well. So got into engineering and then lost the touch thoda
Yeah.
with gaming also. But luckily, the lockdown had been good for me. Means I fractured my foot during the first couple of months.
Right.
But I was stuck in front of the screen for
Yeah.
like 6 to 8 weeks at the stretch.
Right.
So I was like, might as well make the most out of this and started learning graphics.
Right.
Like how computers.
Yeah, you started off trying to build an engine, right?
Yeah, that's how I started out. So I was like, I really enjoy coding. So I was like, what's the most difficult task I can pick up since I have so much time? So I was like, might as well give my hand at making a game engine.
shit.
Yeah, where it took me like 3 days to print one triangle on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you have to write every line of code and tell the computer that I want these pixels lined up and do the math of the lighting and stuff. I say. So I did that for a couple of weeks, I guess.
And you documented this whole
Yeah,
thing.
and I documented this on Instagram and stuff. And then slowly I realized that this is, I say, something I like, but it's not giving me the satisfaction. I say. So then I just picked up game development, pulled up YouTube and looked it up. Shout out to Brackies, starting point of nearly all game developers.
Damn.
And yeah, so quickly I started following tutorials and all, making small games. But then I realized
the first game you built?
First game I built was just a block crossing a road. Means not crossing road, means it has a path and there's some obstacles and you're just controlling it right and left. It keeps going forward.
Wow.
Damn.
So basic version of that. And then I was like, okay, I know game development now. After like 2-3 videos, I was like, yeah, I am a game developer now. So, and then luckily, GMTK was hosting a game jam. So what a game jam is effectively a hackathon for games where you are given a theme or at least some rough idea and you build games on that.
Right.
And this hackathon was a weekend long hackathon, like 3 days, where I got a theme and I was like, yeah, I'll know what to do. As soon as I got the theme, I was blank. That's the moment where it struck me that game development is a lot more than just following some tutorials online or, I say, coding it out,
Do
right?
you recall the theme?
Huh?
Do you recall the theme?
I think it was joined together. Yeah.
Joined together.
Joined together. That's the theme that was given.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
That's up to
You
you.
also didn't know.
I was like, how do I make a game out of this? Yeah, that's it.
Just one word.
Yeah, that's the theme where you get to interpret it however you want and make a game out of it.
Oh.
And then it's based on the audience response that gets you winners and stuff. So yeah, first 6 to 8 hours, I was just blank.
Yeah.
I was like, I have no clue what to do. But then slowly I started experimenting with stuff. And then by the end of it, I had a half-baked game which I play tested on my sister. If it's easy enough, because I realized I end up making games which are too tough. But so yeah, I play tested it with my sister and at least submitted something by the end of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the first game jam, I realized that it's much more than just coding stuff.
Yeah.
But also it gave me a good sense of satisfaction where every time I used to do something, I could see it, I could play it.
Yeah.
Where every action I was doing had a good impact on the final product.
Yeah, I actually feel like more people should get into coding via gaming. Most people try to get into coding by learning either Python or JavaScript, right? But like it takes so long to build stuff where you can see stuff.
Something
right?
unique.
Yeah, something unique. Like you can build a calculator app and all of that shit, but building a game like a basic game and being able to actually see it, that would be so much more like motivating, inspiring for you to continue building. If you try, what do you think?
I think it should be. I think most people currently get into coding through the web.
Right.
Because gaming is fine, but web is more diverse in the sense it has more opportunities.
Right.
It's easier to set up. Firstly, you don't need you don't need to install Unity. You don't need to
Yeah. No, fair enough.
looking at something like a
yeah.
cockpit. The Unity looks like a fucking cockpit. Of
Yeah. It's hard.
If you know,
fair enough.
If you're following tutorials, you can just open a file and your browser will automatically run it. Like it doesn't even tell you if it's wrong; it just runs it.
Yeah.
Like that's how. But
no, fair enough. Enough. Yeah.
See, the thing about maybe like it also depends on your use case, right? Why do you want to learn coding? Like I don't think people have to learn coding unless they don't have a reason for it. Money is fine, but if you have something you want to build, think if you can build it without coding first, because now, and then if you still need to learn coding, then you figure out what language you should learn first. Like, I think that's how
that's fair. That's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's the only way it will stick, right?
Yeah,
it's a fact.
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, you learn it until it gets too hard, or you see something else that you're interested in.
You tried to develop a game once,
I've
so
tried
you want to talk about that?
I've tried to learn how to code a lot of times. And I've tried, like, since the 8th standard, I think I've tried all sorts of different things, but I never actually stuck to it. And I guess the reason that I never stuck to it is that I was just learning coding to learn coding to be able to build things and not with a specific project in mind. But the only time that I did try to code with a specific project in mind, it led to this. I didn't end up coding it, but I ended up trying enough and then decided, fuck it, we need to get someone else on board. But so basically we can talk about, we can talk about this story, how did we get here? So...
Kartik, we are back at you, right? You continue.
We're still talking, sorry.
So the game jam, at the end of it, I was like, this is something I would like to keep doing. So I took part in a couple of more game jams, made a couple of projects of my own. Based on that, I was like, okay, I think I have good enough knowledge where I started applying for internships and then got a internship where I was effectively left alone to figure it out again. So that was also a very great experience where I was effectively being paid to learn stuff.
How was your college supporting you in something like this? Or college or like your network? How many game developers do you know other than yourself at this time?
So there were a couple of Discord groups which are very helpful. International as well as Indian. And apart from that, college was very chill because it was online. So it didn't really be a big hurdle until it went back offline.
Zero-sum, like no win, no loss kind of situation.
But did you have friends from school or college who are...
that's how we met, right? So effectively, after a couple of projects, I was like, I want to do something with someone, right? I was bored of building alone. So I went out to nearly everyone in my college to ask if there's any game developer or someone who is interested in it. And if I could, no one showed up.
Right.
But based on that, that's how I met Noah.
So how this started is in Jan last year to Jan 22.
I think we'll start from June itself. I think the Jan thing will come later.
How do you come to the Jan thing later? The Jan thing builds up to the
That's how it builds up, bro.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, fine. So in Jan, Laxman and I were hanging out. He had just come out of his sannyas, his a year and a half of coding. He was still adjusting to the normal world. And he told me about this competition that IIT Bombay was organizing where you had to build an NFT-based product that had something to do with Indian history and mythology. So we came up with a bunch of ideas. Eventually, we decided to build this MMORPG thing called Meta Rashtra. It was basically Game Boy Pokemon, but all the characters are NFTs. We thought we've designed this whole world that we'll build, all the sources and things, all the tokenomics, made these cute little characters.
For anyone who doesn't know, MMORPG is massive multiplayer online role-playing game.
Yeah, and it takes about 100 people to build an MMORPG. We were two. And then we took part in that hackathon. Laxman built a very small version of the thing, but with a pitch deck and that basic demo, we won. We got like a few $1,000, $2,500 in crypto. And by the time we figured out how to liquidate the crypto, it was worth like $1,400, I think. But anyways, we put together a small team and we started trying to build this thing. But it wasn't working For a bunch of reasons. Firstly, building an MMORPG with like a 5-member team is not the easiest thing in the world.
5-member team with one code.
Yeah, one code.
5-member team with 4 people doing jack shit. One
That's
person,
true,
3
that's
people
true.
doing jack shit. One person doing presentations and pitching and everything. And one person doing all the coding.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Yeah. That's fair. And secondly, and more importantly, I think we realized that there just didn't seem to be a market for it. Right? Because if you think about the current Web3 audience, they are not necessarily gamers.
Yeah.
And gamers don't seem to want to touch Web3 with a 10-foot pole. Right? Gamers care about a few things. They care about legacy, they care about integrity, they care about intent. They want you to be playing for the joy of playing and not with earning as one of the primary motivations, right?
Yeah.
And what I think I also realized is that I'm not a gamer. I'm a casual gamer.
Yeah.
And casual gamers care about entirely different things. Casual gamers care about getting a release. They care about community. They care about feeling rewarded. And these incentives, these drivers are far more they're far more aligned with play to earn mechanics than like an MMORPG is. And at that point, we had this idea for a game. Elon Musk had just announced that he was planning on buying Twitter, which is now X. And I pitched this idea to Laxman for a game called Flappy Musk.
I think we have the image.
We'll put it on the screen. Where it's basically Elon Musk's face on a Twitter board jumping through stock market candlesticks, picking up joints. And we just wanted to make it the most simple, easy Web3 experience possible. Because Web3 itself was so complicated, such bad UI.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary stuff for the sake of it.
And we just wanted to make it simple.
Yeah.
So Laxman started working on the back end. I decided I'll try and build the game myself. I spent like 12 hours coding. I designed all of the assets, all the sounds.
12 hours following a YouTube video.
Yeah, 12 hours following a YouTube video. Yes, that was coding for me. And the whole thing was working. And just before I tried to export it, there was one line of code that I guess my version of Unity was different from the tutorial dudes, and the whole thing failed. And I was like, fuck this shit, I'm not doing this, and we need to find someone else to help us build this. And then we started talking to a bunch of people. Eventually, through a friend of a friend, we met Kartik.
Yeah.
And there was just like such a sync between all of us.
So initially the website and that was ready. That was taking I thought we'd have it in a day or two. And I thought, no, we'll build the game and we'll be done with this in like a week.
But it took 2 months.
Right, but then Kartik came on. Kartik built the whole game in like 2 days, and I was like fucking mind blown. Dude, this is such an epic game.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck it, I gotta start with the tech now.
Yeah.
Then we ended up.
It took some time. It took about 2 months, but the game did well. Eventually, we built another one. Then we built another one, and then we raised a pre-seed funding round from All In Capital, hashed in 2 AM VC. And
then we started building the app out.
Then we started building the app out. This play to earn gateway into Web3 as it was at the time.
I think back then at that point the main issue for us was like the multiple games, right? How do we scale this? Because with one game it was cool.
Even with the one game, the app was so big.
Yeah. And also it was taking so long to build stuff because we were trying to build an app with Web3 infra.
Yeah.
And we were so used to launching fast, right? Flappy Mars took 2 months. Vacate took, which is the second game we launched, that took 2 weeks from ideation to launch. FTX, the third one, took 10 days, right?
But that was just the game part of it.
Because the infra was already built.
Yeah,
but when we started trying to build like real infra, it was too hard and it was just taking so long.
There was pain and discomfort to the users.
Yeah, and also simultaneously, users were leaving, at least mass users were not using Web3 as much anymore because of whatever external market conditions, etc., which happens every 4 years. But
at the time we were called Infinity.
At the time we were called Infinity.
The name was itself so.
Yeah, and then eventually in March, we decided that, you know what, fuck it, we're trying to do too many things at once. We're trying to build a social gaming arcade and we're trying to build Web3 infra. And for our team with limited resources, it just makes sense to focus on one thing and do that right. And at that point, Fijit was born, right? We decided to trash everything that we had built for the last, 3 months and gave ourselves a 2-week deadline, and just we have to build something in that 2 weeks and we have to put it out.
Yeah.
And then we decided to do a event at a fest at Bitsco's Cork, my college's fest, Tech Fest. We put up a stall and we just decided we'll take 2 weeks and whatever we build, we'll put out.
Yeah.
And we didn't even
Start
manage
from
to
scratch.
get the app on the Play Store in time. We made people download an APK.
But we fucking built the app.
Yeah, and we got like
Yeah.
300 people to try it out, man. That was pretty cool.
That got us so much good feedback.
Yeah, 100%. And from there, it's just been building. It's
Yeah.
been more and more games, making the app smoother, getting to more and more people. It's been fun. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for watching the episode.
Thanks,
I hope you
guys.
had
See you.
fun listening to it. And we'll see you in the next episode of The Boredroom. Until then, check out Fijit and let us know what your favorite game is in the comments. Cheers. See you.
Cheers, guys.
See you. Bye.